Hey, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. This is going to be a different one. This is one that I've started on and off for a while now, but it's on the history of reel manufacturers. And this one was prompted. I have a lot of them I want to do, but I've been busy in the shop, as many of you know, with the reel repairs on a day-to-day basis. And every now and then the opportunity comes along. Well, you just kind of have to do one because you get so intrigued by it. And this reel was brought in to me by Ray, who's a viewer who lives nearby. He brought me a reel in for repair, and I've never seen one of these reels. And there's a good reason for it, and we'll tell you the story about it. But Ray said, go ahead and take it, make a video of it, and find out what you can find out about it. And you know, if you want to share that with your audience, go ahead. So I would probably challenge our audience to see if they've ever seen one of these reels, and we'll tell you why in a little bit. But the reel is called the Perez. That's P-E-R-E-Z. It takes its name from its craftsman, a fellow named Frank Perez. And Frank Perez was born in Havana, Cuba, and along the way, he was born in 1879. Along the way, he made his way to New York City, first to Brooklyn, and then he moved out to Great Neck, Long Island, a little bit later in life. But Frank was a machinist, and he was an avid fisherman. And being in the New York City area, I can understand and appreciate where Frank fished. And the story has it that in 1923, he lost a prize shark that he was fishing on. He blamed it on the reel. And as a machinist, he set out to build a fishing reel. And this is the result of his setting out and doing that. And what he built was handmade. And every reel that was a Perez reel up through 1945 was handmade by Frank. He had a single shop. He was the craftsman, and he worked a little bit early on, or at least he had an association with Holtzman. And I think when we take this apart, you'll see the gearing inside of it, and the take-apart system to this is similar to a Holtzman reel. But Frank started making reels in 1925. You can imagine a handmade reel. He was able to produce about 800 of these between 1925 and 1945. So do the math, right? That's, let's see now, 20 years and 800 makes doing about 40 a year, or one a week. Go imagine that, huh? But these reels were pretty pricey. And I guess in addition to what he did as a machinist, he could survive doing that, particularly through the Great Depression, which was kind of interesting in and of itself. So the reel is made up of a couple of components. Ray and I were having a conversation. We wondered if this was German silver plate that had worn off, and further research showed no. It's a particular metal or metal alloy called Monel. This is not plated in any regard. It doesn't chip or crack or corrode, and that's why it was selected for that. Both the reel frame and the spool are made of that material. The frame is a one-piece material. You'll notice there are no screws holding the cross posts in. So Frank, as a machinist, was able to rivet and braze these so that they are permanent fixtures. And we were kind of looking at this thing saying, well, and then how in the world does this reel come apart? Well, a clue to that is the side plates. The side plates are hard rubber. They're not Bakelite. They are a hard rubber plate. And we just started fiddling. It kind of looked like maybe these were finger grips on this side, and why were the serrated edges there? And so we just decided to start unscrewing the reel. And in about 4 revolutions, the reel comes apart, just like that. Now, I have not seen a Holtzman, but I'm told this is an identical mechanism to the early E. Holtzman reels, and that this was kind of a collaboration. I guess if you're a machinist and you're going to work on doing all these other pieces, and here's the spool. And I counted the parts in this, interestingly enough. There's about 13 parts. That's it. Very simple reel This one still has wire trolling line on it, if you can imagine that. Well rusted in between, but not uncommon. And one of his early designs was a smooth surfaced tapered spool that would take away the pressure from things like wire line. It would force it to expand and rub or warp the spool. And your gearing is simple. It's just a spring and a gear sitting on a post that moves in and out for free spool. So the other thing he's credited with in terms of his skills was he built a ridge here that has a 90 degree threading in it, believing that would be stronger than the traditional threading that you find on some reels, which is an angle of about 65 degrees. Don't ask me how I know that. I found it out. Well, how did I find it out? Well, I'm a member of ORCA, and ORCA is the Old Reel Collectors Association. I don't know if that means that I'm old and collecting reels or if I'm collecting old reels, but regardless, there was a couple of wonderful things that they had on their website about Perez reels. A lot of old advertising. One of the things I actually found out was the reel was sold by a company called the Ryan Sales Company, not Perez. And yet Perez took individual orders from fishing enthusiasts, basically on the East Coast, and primarily in New York, New Jersey, and New England. New England primarily being Connecticut. But he took orders, and he handmade these. And he at the height of his production, he never did more than 100 reels in a year. And you can see the beauty, you can see the design and the likeness, and you can understand what this was all about. So World War II comes along, and at the end of World War II, Frank Perez is getting a little bit up in age. He died in 1958 at 79, so let's make it 65 or so, the end of World War II. And there was a company that was a precision aircraft manufacturing company during the war, and he decided he was going to allow them to take the techniques of mass production and apply them to his handmade reel, and kind of subcontracted out, see if they couldn't produce it. And that didn't last long. He was never happy with the quality, even using pretty stringent quality control. They could never reproduce what he made by hand. So he took it back. And from what I understand, right through up and around his death, he had continued to make it. So here's a mystery, and it may be solved, it may not. But I was trying to find out who that company was. And this rubber side plate is actually stamped Silber Products Inc., New York, New York. And I'm thinking that's what it was. And I think Silber, if I'm not mistaken, is German for silver. But I could be wrong on that as well. But at any rate, I think this reel is even rarer, even though it may not be handmade, because that company did not produce many of them before Frank took that back. So very interesting design, a very interesting story, and some interesting functions and features. That single take-apart with that reverse screw, fascinating. The different metals that he used in that, Monel, interesting. And here's one that I like very much. I've never seen it duplicated. If you throw your free spool release forward, I gotta back this off, I guess. I guess it is forward. See what you learn? This reel, I just got this reel yesterday, but I was so excited about it, I just had to kind of do this forecast. Okay. Let's put that back together again. I understand you're supposed to load it in the free spool position. All right, we're free spooling. Now, instead of casting the reel and bringing it back with your finger, which you can do, they have a feature here. Cast it, and then simply do a quarter of a turn backwards, and it flips the switch. Do that again. Oops, I'm not tight here. Just cast. I want to get it into casting mode. There you go. Cast, click. So the one that's close to is the Ocean City, the one where the lever comes out and you bang it with the handle. but that feature is just fascinating to me from a design and a manufacturing thing. So this is an old reel. Again, I would challenge anybody who's got a Perez or knows of a Perez to add anything you can in terms of the information that I was able to find on this. But overall, this reel was built by hand. It was intended to be a lifetime kind of casting reel. It was manufactured by a mass production, perhaps the Silver Products Company from New York, for a very brief period of time. I think in the span of it, there can't be more than 2,000 of these reels out there, and probably closer to 1,200 of them. Stood the test of time. This one's still working beautifully, and that's a testament to a machinist and a beautiful job that he did exercising his craft, a true craftsman building this reel. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you ever happen upon one of these, I'm told that when they show up on eBay, they start at a minimum of $100, and depending on condition, they can get quite expensive. There's some real paperwork and things like that that make the value of it go further. But if you ever see a Perez and you're wondering what it's about, I would tell you, by all means, if you have the funds and if you're interested in the older reels, pick one of these up, because they truly are a treasure with a fun story behind it. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you do, please like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If you know more about this reel, since it's the first time I've ever seen it, please add it in the comment section below. We're always interested in trying to learn more. And then finally, I'd like to conclude this by just thanking our first responders, essential personnel, teachers, law enforcement, healthcare workers, and everybody who's involved in trying to keep us safe during this pandemic. Your efforts truly are appreciated. We'd be in a lot worse shape without you, and I thank you for everything it is that you're doing to keep us safe. So with that, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please stay tuned for more. Have a great day.